Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, loves. I just wanted to introduce and say a little something since it is Floating on the Cloud podcast, but today Sandra Lee, who was a guest, offered to interview me on this podcast, on this platform. And I said, sure, why not? No one's ever done this. So I'm gonna hand the reins over to Sandra and we're gonna go with it. So there we go.
Thank you, Sarah. You and I both go based on guidance. And when it came in to say, you know what? Would you like to be interviewed on your podcast? That was totally guided. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you here.
Oh.
Sarah Sparks is an international best-selling author, podcast host of a top 10% nationally ranked podcast, and has recently launched her second book, 144 Wealth Codes to Unlock the Abundance Within, hitting #1 Amazon bestseller in spiritual growth. She worked in local government for 6 years before becoming a business owner. Now, because of her partnership with Divine, her soul-led business successfully supports her family of 4 and serves clients in India, Canada, Mexico, and the United States.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Sarah.
Thank you for having
So tell me a little bit about who you are, how you got here, and how you serve people.
It is, my entire life has been divinely led. At times, I did not recognize that or appreciate that, or even be aware of it, honestly. And in those moments that I did not appreciate it or recognize it or have an awareness of it, those were the times that I feel depression, or those deep negative emotions that rise to the surface within us. In those moments are when we are most disconnected from our divine guidance, from our divine path, from our soul. And so in those moments that I did not appreciate it or recognize it or have an awareness of it, are those moments that I felt very alone and in depression and sadness and hurt and so forth and so on. So what led me to here was a series of events over time. And I say that because I don't want anybody to think that who you see now is who has always been there. Sometimes people even say to me, oh, your presence or you're intimidating. And in my head, I sometimes am still the 12-year-old awkward 6th grader, so I just want to say that anyone who is choosing to live a divine path, their divine path, their soul-led life, listening to their divine guidance, it takes time over time. And it's in those little decisions to fine tune into how you connect to divine. So over a course of 10, 12, 15 years of making lots of mistakes and decisions has led me to here now, truly trusting and tuning into what divine has planned for me. And that partnership with divine is the key, I think, I believe, I feel moving forward. I think I was combining feeling and think. So,
but as intuitively guided people, you can't really separate them.
Feeling and thinking, is that what you're meaning? Or
yeah, they all come in together.
It all just comes together. Yeah. Especially when you do. So as I am teaching people to listen to their divine guidance and connect and discern, sometimes people just start off with there's a knowing or a knowing or just a feeling. But as you develop it and fine tune into it, you'll begin to understand how you receive, and sometimes it just comes in all forms and all different senses at the same time. At least it does for me.
So I hear you saying that part of how you serve people is you help them find and strengthen their intuitive guidance.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of the major questions that people come to me, is that how do you do what you do? Like, how did you just do that? I noticed that you were really quiet right there. Or you really stopped and thought about something. What were you just doing? Or your eyes went up and to the right. What were you just doing then? Or how did you come up with that answer? Or why did you ask me that? No one knows that. And I'm, or I, in passing, said something to a friend while we were all together on a Saturday at a science fair, just in passing. It was just an intuitive hit that I got. I didn't even explain that it was an intuitive hit. And I just asked her something. Several days later, she came into our garage to pick up her child, and she was like, on Saturday, you said this, and this was something that I had been thinking. And then I thought, oh wait, Sarah listens to her intuition. Did you receive that, or how did you know that? So usually some people have those types of questions. So yes, that is primarily what I help people do, is then tune into their divine guidance.
What comes up for me when you say that is that by demonstrating it and living it yourself out in the real world and interacting with people, you also help other people feel safe to have that same kind of awareness and guidance themselves.
I have come to realize that is what gives me, quote unquote, a leg up, if you will, on many, we'll say in quotation, certified intuitive coaches, because I see a lot of those labels. But then when they come to me and say, I've been trying this for 3 years and I'm not getting anywhere, I come with an open heart and understanding. Spirit says I have a level head for leadership, but a heart for healing. And it's that balance that I come to these conversations with. But I see people, and who come to me particularly, I don't seek them out, but who come to me for help, and they have certifications, or they're saying they can do healing work, or they can, that's what they're marketing as their gifts. But when they come to me, they say, I have no idea how to use it for myself. And that, the first time it happened, it astounded me. I was like taken back, and I was like, okay, don't be judgy, Sarah, don't be judgy. And I was judging, because I'm like, that's not how I work. And when I first had an awareness that I have a gift, I first went on an intuitive walk, not at all related to anyone or anything. I didn't start by channeling someone's soul's calling. I wanted to understand how I receive, how my gift worked. Can I use it for myself? How can I use it for myself? In what ways? And how do I live in integrity with it? Meaning, how do I consistently, day in and day out, live according to my values, beliefs, and principles? And what are my values, beliefs, and principles connected to my intuition and my divine guidance? Now, how can I do this on a daily basis? So that way, when I show up, people aren't questioning whether or not I could do something or not. I don't need to have all the acronyms behind my name. No offense to anybody who does, because I do have acronyms in the front and the end of my name. I just had a conversation about that like yesterday, so which is why I'm bringing it up. It's no offense to anybody. And also, when I do work with people such as that, and they come to me and they're like, how do I tune in and how do I use this for myself? It astounds me that they never thought that they could only do it for other people, but not for themselves. And that, I feel, is the missing link in someone's success, and that really catapults their success, is when they are doing for themselves what they teach and preach, first and foremost. And I didn't realize that people don't do that. And that is something that, honestly, I'm very proud of myself on, for living it consistently, day in and day out, and making it in every decision, every moment, conscious choice.
I am going to speak to the listener right now.
Okay.
I want you to go back and listen to what Sarah just said again, because it's really important. Basically, she's talking about using your sense of guidance for yourself, day to day, minute to minute, and also for others. And the whole spectrum of that is what is available to you. Right, Sarah?
Yes. And it's not just for intuitive coaches. So sometimes using our divine guidance, people think, oh, it's just for those in the spiritual world, or just for those who are religious, just for those who are blah, blah, blah. My main goal, and my husband used to be in IT, so I just said it to him this morning, knowing that we're going to be having this conversation. And he's like, Sarah, that's going to take a long time. As soon as you'll hear what I'm about ready to say. But I said it to him and he was like, Sarah, that's going to take a while. And I don't think that that's going to happen. And I was like, oh, to me, that sounds like a challenge. I was like, oh, crank it up a notch, brother. I said, and I had this vision that there'll be 5 IT guys walking down the hall, going to lunch, and they just got done, one of them just got done solving a problem, a concern that had been taking them 3 months or so. And they've been trying all these different angles. And finally, the one who solves it tapped into his intuition and knew where to go in the database or whatever the IT world words are. And it doesn't have to be IT. It could be FBI. It could be engineering. It could be marketing. I don't care. Or accounting. Maybe there's a spreadsheet or something. But we tap into our divine guidance, this omnipresent, this all-knowing source of, ooh, I have a problem. Where do I go to solve that problem? Oh, it's here. And then we use our intellect, our intellect and I was going to say our intellectual property, but our intellect of what we've learned, because my husband was like, Sarah, you're not going to have an IT dude. Like if they come right out and say they use their intuition to solve this problem, they'll be fired, because we'll be like, what? You don't have this background and you don't have this. And I said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Like combining and having that balance of tapping first into to make the most effective and efficient decision of, ooh, this is where I need to go. This is what I need to do. Oh, wait, then I'm going to pull up all my knowledge that I have and bring it to the table with me. And then bam, done. So I have just found that listening to our divine guidance, that intuition, that inner knowing, whatever we're going to call it, is the most effective and efficient way to make the decision, but then using our human resource, our human capital, our brains, and the knowledge that we've gained in this lifetime to solve the issue, to solve the problem. And combining both is miraculous and it's fun.
So this is what I wanted to have this conversation with Sarah on her podcast for. We are talking about following guidance be normal in everyday society, in all of the environments, including business, corporate. Like to be able to have 2 people walking down the hallway talking about making decisions based on guidance, totally informed by knowledge and science and whatever experience, but to have guidance be as valid an input into those decisions as anything else.
I think it's the missing piece to feel complete. There are so many people walking around wondering how in the world they'll ever feel complete in this lifetime. How can I ever feel fulfilled? Tap into your intuition, get to know your soul. That's the missing piece that is going to make you feel complete. I have goosebumps, and that was not me just talking right there. So y'all just
that was guided.
That is guided.
So here's one way that I look at it for you listening. Think of guidance as being a way of filtering with what is coming in, with what I am thinking about, with what I am doing. Is this me or is this not me? Mm-hmm. To make it just something like, simple and cut and dried. Yep. You get a sense, this is for me and I feel good. This is not for me. Oh, that makes me feel bad. That's guidance, people. It's as simple as that.
One major thing that we as a society as a whole need to get over is that we have to struggle. Because is this for me? Is this light good, right? Does it feel good to me? Oh, this feels, but then we're like, oh, but then it came too easy. I don't know how many people have said to me when I say, oh, there's 5 steps to listen to divine guidance. It's allow, ask, receive, trust, act. Oh, that's it. I need to go be certified. I need to go know this design and this personality type and that personality type. I need to dive deeper into who I truly am and all the things. And let me take the next like 15 years and then I'll come back to you and I'll use the 5 steps to understand what the hell I'm actually supposed to be doing. And then maybe possibly, but I'm not going to trust it. Oh my Lanta. It does not have to be complicated, but we have this ingrained in us that if you struggle, if you suffer, you're going to be so successful and amazing. No, that time period, that era is completely done. I might be a little passionate about it.
So it's like, let's look at where are the origins and the roots of this. Imagine a time where, I am a woman in a primitive hunter-gatherer society and I am out gathering plants to eat. And I've got my little daughter here running along with me, and I go along. And suddenly I have a sense of like, something's not quite right. That's not intellectual. That's just feeling. Oh, wait a minute, I'm getting hit about something. Oh, I need to check, where's my little girl? Oh, look around. Is there a cat that's going to come and attack me? Mm-hmm. It's instinct, people. Mm-hmm. Is something that's happening going to be right for me, or is it not going to be right for me? Mm-hmm. To put it in simple terms, it's basic instinct.
And when on this topic, do it practice in a way that there is no expectation of you from anybody else, from yourself. What I did was I went for what I call an intuitive walk. I just labeled it that because we as humans like labels. And I went out for a walk and I said, okay, I don't really understand. I know that I have this connection, but I don't really understand it. And I don't know how I connect. We're just going to go out and practice. So I have these instincts as you're talking about. Okay, so this is, if it's a yes, I'm going to move forward. It's going to feel good. And if it's a no, I'm going to kind of move back and it's not going to feel so right. All I did was ask, on this walk, divine, and you can say higher self, I don't really care. It's like, you're going to lead this walk. So it's not me that's being like, today I'm going to walk 3.1 miles down to the beach and back. And I'm going to take this route according to my GPS. No, like delete all that and just kind of go with your own intuition on, hey, maybe the walk will be 3 blocks. Who knows? Anyways, so I went for a walk having no agenda, no expectation, no end destination. And I asked at every intersection, do I take a right? No. Do I take a left? Yes. Even coming out of my driveway. All right. Left, right. And I did that all the way to, I was living on Treasure Island at the time. And I got to many waterways. It's Treasure Island in Florida. And so I got to the beach. I got to the Gulf of Mexico. And I made a joke because I'm naturally sassy. So it's also important that you just naturally talk to divine, your higher self, as yourself. Not like, okay, I only set aside 15 minutes in the morning to properly pray these words. No, just have a conversation in any way that you want. So I'm sassy, as you can tell. So I just got to the edge of the water and I was like, well, not Jesus, not going to walk on it. Which way do I go? Forgetting that I have been asking yes or like questions that bring me to yes or no. I just said it because I was like, man, whatever. And I heard, go right, head north. And I thought to myself, holy buckets, I can hear. I can hear, like something is talking to me. Like I can hear. And I was like, oh, maybe I could have more conversations. We'll figure that out. But then I continued on walking. But my point going with yours is there is this natural instinct. And I feel that many of us, when they come to me and have, even if it's we're sitting by the pool having these talks, they come to me with these like these questions that are like, should I leave my husband? Should I get a job? Do we buy the house? Do I sell my car? Like all these like major decisions. And they want to start then using their divine guidance. Well, there's so much pressure and so much expectation and just so much pressure. And so instead of doing that, just go for an intuitive walk. Yes, those decisions were still all there for me. I was trying to decide whether to get a job or to start my business, or like I was at a big crossroads professionally when I started tapping into my intuition. But I wasn't going to put all that pressure on myself and also the future of me to make these decisions based on my intuition when I didn't even know how I received or what it was really. So I started off small and I just kept practicing until it felt good. And then I was like, okay, I think I could use this in bigger ways in my own life. And still I wasn't going to use it with somebody else. But that is not the case with everyone. So
I have another way of illustrating what Sarah was just talking about. Basically, the importance of using this with something that you don't care about the result. Neutral, whether I go right or left doesn't really matter. This comes up for a lot of people when they are learning something like muscle testing or kinesiology, which in my opinion is a form of guided decision making that for a lot of people that they use, physical muscles. And a lot of people really struggle with learning how to do kinesiology and muscle testing because they question their results. They doubt their results. And I tell them, start off first with decisions that don't matter. Just like Sarah was talking about. Am I going to have Mexican food today? Yes or no? Am I going to eat broccoli today? Yes or no? Am I inside today? Right now? No. Yes, no. Things that have no consequence. And get so you trust the answers you're getting with little meaningless decisions. Because if I am using muscle testing or kinesiology for, do I have cancer? That is like huge, like Sarah said a minute ago, pressure on this decision. And the chances that I am going to get a screwed up, mixed up, distorted response are really high. So if I learn to follow my kinesiology, my muscle testing, or my guidance system with big consequential things, it's like Sarah said, too much pressure put on it. So if you learn to use it with little bitty things, like which route am I going to take when I'm going to the grocery store today?
Yep. I did that as well.
It doesn't matter what the answer is. And then once you become accustomed to following guidance when it comes to those things, you know what it feels like when you're on the right track. And so you can start to have some guidance for those bigger, more consequential decisions. What am I going to do in my relationship? What am I going to do about my job? Do I want to start another job? It's like, those are things that have big impact. So if I know what it feels like when I'm following my guidance appropriately with the little things, I'm going to get a sense of, oh, you know what? I think I'm kind of messing that decision up. And so you know the difference in what it feels like.
Yes. And that is huge, because another question that I get asked quite often is, well, how do I know if it's a thought that I'm thinking versus a thought that I'm receiving? And that, right, what we just talked about is key to the answer to that question. Meaning, have you practiced tuning in when there weren't consequences to the answer? Or am I saying that right? I feel like I'm choosing my words, but it's just when people want to know the answer to how is this a thought that I'm thinking versus a thought that I'm receiving, what I have found is they haven't taken the time to practice tuning in. So they haven't had that awareness. And so we all receive differently. The question then that I ask is, do you know how to receive? And then they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, okay, then let's start there. Is it sight, sound? Do you taste something? Are you feeling something like muscle testing or kinesiology? Is it just a knowing, like how is it? Because we all receive differently. Sometimes I receive through conversations. That is key. Holy buckets. I also, another avenue that we could go down is also along the lines of the struggle. It came about my husband before I started teaching all of this, and it was right around the time when my business started. He was having a spiritual awakening and experience, and right when it was pivotal and he was coming to understand it all, he had a motorcycle accident and broke his collarbone, and he felt like it broke his wing, quote unquote. And he was pretty upset that, like, it damaged the motorcycle some, it damaged or broke his collarbone, but then the spiritual connection and things that were going on. And he says to me in like frustration, why don't you ever experience like this? Why do I have to learn lessons like this? And I said, because I chose not to. I was like, there is no way. Like the way that I receive and quote unquote learn lessons or understand anything, or if there's something that spirit wants to tell me, I need to do, change, shift, be different, they tell me. At first, I'm like, nope, you are not going to put me in through any sort of danger or harm or hurt. Nope, that's not how we're learning this. You can talk to me. Yes, it might take 3 times to get my attention, but you're not putting me in harm's way to do this. Like, you sent me here to do this work, then we can have a conversation about this. So, and that's how I talk with spirit. Like, it's just direct, and this is how we're doing it. There was one time that I was ready to back out of the driveway here, and I heard spirit say, just prepare yourself. You're going to get into a car accident at the roundabout. And I said, no, I'm not. You're going to change everything up. I am not getting into this accident. I said, do I need to? Well, no, there was more along the lines of, there was a lesson you need to learn in it. I said, then I'll stop the car right here and you can tell me it. So I stopped the car, I pulled over right down the street, and I sat there. I'm like, I'm ready. I will listen. I felt like I was talking to a child, like when a child like acting up, and I was like, nope, you got my attention. You can talk to me now. And so I sat there and I listened, and then we went about, and as I got to the roundabout, this truck was like it was like all over the place. I was like, oh, that would have been fun. Nope, not gonna happen. And so I shared that with Craig, my husband, at the time of his, which has been long years ago now, but he's like, whoa, wait a second. You can state how you want to receive and like learn lessons. And I said, yes, we have free will. And I've shared that. I share that now because that has been very pivotal for people that come to me and I teach this to, because they're like, whoa, I didn't have to struggle. I didn't have to experience all this turmoil. I said, no, you could just ask and you could receive. And so in particular, I'm thinking of one woman, and I just saw her this past weekend. She was on a struggle bus with everything. And she's like, how come you don't struggle? Like, what kind of privilege do you have? And I was like, I don't. I just say I don't want to, and I don't. Like, if spirit wants to talk with me, they just talk with me. I'm not gonna, we've already covered this in the class. And she's like, huh, well, then I'm going to try that. I said, well, good. I'm glad you're done with the struggle part of your life. And so I just saw her this past weekend, and she was like, Sarah, I did it. I said to God, I don't I want to work less and get paid more, and you're going to figure out how, and you're going to tell me how. And she's like, I got a promotion and the promotion pays more and I get to work less. And I said, well, there you go. You didn't have to struggle, did you? And she's like, nope, didn't have to learn any lessons. I just asked and there we go. And I'm like, well, there you go. So it was so cool. I love it.
So for those of you listening, if you didn't get what she just said, go back and listen to it again because it was awesome. Now, here is something that I tell people. I've been doing body work and stuff like that forever, healing work. And symptoms are your body and your beingness trying to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to get you to pay attention to something that needs to be addressed, needs to be done, needs to be changed. Yeah. And if you are getting signals, but you're not getting the signal and you're not doing anything about it, it's like your beingness is God saying, hey, come on, wake up. And if it has to hit you with a hammer to make you pay attention, that's symptoms. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have symptoms. You don't have to have health conditions and things like that show up if you're paying attention to the signals before it has to grab your attention to get you. Mm-hmm. Pay attention when the signals are small. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to come and hit you on the backside.
Yes, for sure. I had backache spasms, and I've had them for most of my life. At first, I thought they were oh goodness, growing pains when I was young, and then I thought, well, maybe it had to do with anxiety or something. I didn't know. I didn't understand because I wasn't connected. Well, I was sitting listening to a speaker on Sunday, and just things that he was saying, I could feel the emotion anger boil up inside me. And I was like, he wasn't saying anything that was anger. It was just certain words that were like, oh my goodness, parts of me, old parts of me, were wanting to release what really no longer served me and who I was. So for me to become all that I have become. And so the backache started as I was sitting there, and I thought just for a moment, I was like, where is this anger stored in my body? And Spirit said, your low back. I said, is that what that has been this whole time? Yes. So I did my own emotional releasing and healing around that. Man, my responses are different. My courage and confidence is different. My understanding of things and the way that I see others, and I don't care now how they view me or if that makes them uncomfortable. It's the anger's not fueling my response. That was a huge awareness with these little signals of just a little, backache. But then what was that? I don't have to full on experience anger to its fullest extent or someone being angry with me. It just was this little nudge and feeling within me, and externally no one would even have noticed. They would have just saw me like wiggling in my seat thinking I had ants in my pants or something. So
let's talk about this from the perspective of frequency, because it can help us understand it. And I use a tuning fork. I don't have a tuning fork handy to be able to illustrate this. I use a tuning fork to illustrate this. So there's this principle called resonance, where if you have a tuning fork and you have another tuning fork that is the same frequency, I strike one and I bring it close and the other one starts vibrating. Okay? And part of how the biofield tuning, the tuning fork work I do works is I've got a bunch of frequencies that are coming with this sound spectrum, and it's resonating with some of the things that you have stored in your energy field and your body. So the sound that I'm striking here is setting off resonance of what you have stored in your energy field and your body. And it starts vibrating.
Okay? Yeah.
looking at that story you just told, right?
Mhm.
I am with this person and something is going on, and I'm noticing I have back pain. What's going on? It's resonance.
Mhm.
Something that is going on with this person is setting off an experience that you have stored in your system and the frequency of it, and it's activating it, getting your attention to it.
Mhm.
And you did precisely what we are talking is valuable. It's like, oh, what's that? What's causing this symptom to show up? Oh, I can release that.
Mhm.
It's like you had an opportunity to become aware of something you had stored in your body. An opportunity in life came up, woke this up, and it's like, oh, look at that. Do I want that? No. Okay, let that go.
Yep. And because then life, the energy of life also gave me an opportunity to then practice. So then in the old belief that was always fueled by anger got to be eradicated, extracted. Then the following, no, I did it on Monday, and then it was Monday evening. A phone call came in with the core limiting belief that has always stopped me. Words were being shared that would have ignited that anger and fired up that core limiting belief. But because I released the anger, I saw it from a completely different perspective. I did not give my power to the anger. I gave my power to my soul. So therefore, then I responded with so much love and appreciation and completely blasted that belief that has stopped me for years in personal relationships, professional relationships, building my business, receiving money, all the things completely blasted out because I let go of the anger, all because of a little backache, that little symptom. But because I've tuned into my divine guidance, I've tuned into my receiving, I was able to, oh, there's a backache. Ooh, there's a feeling. What is that feeling? What needs to be released? And so forth and so on. And the entire time, I kept checking in with my divine guidance of being like, okay, how do I release this? What does that look like? How is my body positioned? What is my breath like? Do I need to be hearing a certain sound? What is that sound frequency? And tell me what to go do next. So, I mean, it was it was completely divinely guided because and divine's like, you need to let me know, you need to initiate this release. And so I had to initiate it and then was able to be assisted.
So, for those of you listening, this whole show is talking about how you can live moment to moment in all of your environments and relationships guided, and how easy it is. And it helps you clean house of all of the stuff from the past that might be hanging around and be in the right places to attract the right opportunities. It's like, just follow your guidance, people, including when you are at work.
Yes. Yeah. Especially when you're at work. Oh my goodness. Some people come to me and are like, I've been an empath for years, if they're in like the medical caring type of role. And they're like, I just take on too much. Well, you haven't learned how to set boundaries, how to energetically set boundaries, how to trust yourself, that intuition. Like there are things that I walk people through, and I'm going to assume that you do as well in those. So as we are finding out how we receive, oh my goodness, people say, I've been doing this my whole life. I just didn't know it. And I thought that it was a hindrance. I thought that it was a horrible thing that I know, like the whole world, your world needs you to show up as your true soul, your true essence, who you truly are. And parts of this, if you are an empath in particular, as the example, we must understand, is this mine? So this resonance that you're, oh wait, is this my anger that I'm being activated, or is that his anger that I'm actually feeling that is bouncing back and forth between us? Okay, I need to figure this out. Like, okay, what are the questions I need to ask to gain the clarity? That's another thing, is clarity isn't the question. Divine has said so often people come to me and ask me the same question, and therefore I give them the same answer. Maybe you need to change up your question.
The question you are asking makes so much difference. If you're getting confusing or mixed up answers, adjust your question.
Yes. Anything else that you're feeling needs to be pointed out or shared? I can talk all day, every day. I can channel. It's just my thing. And sometimes I feel like I talk around in circles, but I appreciate you stopping and pulling out.
Yeah. Something I'd like to drip in is I also do human design, which gives a chart based on the person's birthday and where the planets were at the time they were born. And I find it really can reveal a lot about the ways in which people receive guidance and information, the themes they have in their life, and it can help them make sense of the things that happen. And so I just love doing that. I mean, last time I talked with Sarah, it's like, oh, I wonder what's going on in your human design chart.
Oh, yes, that's right. Did I ever send that over to you? I don't know if I had. Probably not.
I don't remember.
If I forgot to send my bio, I probably forgot to send my chart. So.
But really, it can help make sense of the things that happen and the lessons that you are here to experience and the ways that you are guided and the ways that you contribute. So
we all take a different route to understanding who we are. And I appreciate all the different paths and devices and I don't have the right word for it, but I appreciate all the different ways in which have been created and shared for people to explore of who they really are at a soul, essence, energetic basis. There's just so many different ways and so many different people, and we all think and feel differently. So, yeah.
This has been a wonderful conversation. So much fun.
Thank you.
Do you have a last message for people?
Stop giving your power to your past, because that is not the direction that you are headed. If you want to tap into your divine guidance, if you want to have a soul-led life, figure out how you can stop giving that power away to your past. As soon as you asked what was the final guidance or anything, instantly in my solar plexus, my empowerment like lit up. And it's just so important that we plug into the right power source. So if we are constantly plugging into who we were or what someone did to us, our past of some sort, then we will continue to recreate it and reignite it and reactivate what was. And then we wonder, why can't we tune in? Why can't we become all that we have wanted to become? Why can't we get the promotion? Why can't we? Because if you're constantly thinking about who you were yesterday, how can you become who you've wanted to be?
And fortunately, you can always make the adjustment.
You can. At
every single second.
Yep. At any point in time. Yep. Thank you, love, for this conversation, and
it has been great
giving me the opportunity to articulate my thoughts and share them.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, we'll talk to y'all soon. Thank you.